Howdy y'all, Stock Warden here, back with another Palantir Technologies video. For this video, we're talking all about the Q2 and going into Q3 earnings for Palantir Technologies. Now, just looking at the stock as it stands, we have closed at the highest point for the new 52-week high, and we are looking at possibly being able to break this resistance train right here, because we have been seeing a steady tick where we have been non-stop staying right here at the 160, which has been a price target for numerous different people and also numerous different companies pushing for Palantir. So with us edging this 160, it's definitely looking like we're going to end up being able to push through and make a breakthrough on this, because after we get through all the earnings reports, you'll find out why the new price target is at 170. So they have already stepped in and they have said that the new price target, as in what Piper Sandler was maintaining, is going to say that they're going to overweight Palantir at 170. So given overweight does mean, well, that the stock is going to be overshared, too much price target for what the stock is actually supposed to be at. But with all the earnings plus the hype, it will continue to pursue upwards in a great bullish trend, as it always has been. And also, even though it'll be technically overweighted, that's not going to stop it from continuing to hit that price target and continue moving upwards and forwards, as it has been able to show time and time again that it seems like there is no end and no stopping this stock at any short term or even at this point long term, because this stock has been increasingly keeping a full-blown longevity, low volatility. So this one is definitely a great one for the buy. So let's get into their Q2 earnings and all the news that came in with this. So their consolidated revenue climbed 48% year on year to $1 billion, which exceeded their estimate that was $937.7 million. So they had a huge uptick for their consolidated revenue, because they were able to blow past not just what the estimate was, but they exceeded it so greatly that it's really putting more people into the stat of thinking just how hard this stock is actually being able to continue to grow. So if you come down over here for the earnings, you can see that it showed that they were supposed to be, the adjusted share per earnings was supposed to be at 14. They came out and said that the actual adjusted per share earnings was actually at 16. So it's looking like we ended up coming through and we beat out our Q3 of 24. We beat out Q1 of 25. And we just about made the same 3-point difference on the share average that we did back in Q4 of 24. So once again, Palantir, not only day after day, week after week, and month after month, but actually quarter after quarter, and soon to be year after year, they are going to continue to exceed expectations, blow past estimates, and continue to show just how strong and relevant that they are as a company. So now the U.S. revenue advanced 68% to $733 million in the second quarter, which was driven up by sharp gains in both the commercial and government segments in Palantir. So a lot of my videos that I cover on Palantir, they've had numerous different contracts that I've updated on in not only the government space, but also their commercial space, mainly in the healthcare commercial space. So that's something that was also amazing as well, that this company has been pursuing forward with. And right now, the software maker's shares are obviously up 4.8% in the after hours trade. So where we see this close at 160, the after hours is actually above 160. So we're actually looking quite a bit higher as we're sitting right now going into the rest of today on Tuesday. So the company's software is obviously being used by a multitude of different enterprises, especially what we all know and hold into is the America's defense sector. So the U.S. Army had made a statement last week that it awarded a new contract to Palantir to meet growing warfare demands over the next 10 years. So that consolidated a couple dozen contracts into one giant framework that ended up having a complete $10 billion valuation cap. So you take 10 billion valuation over 10 years, just in the US Army alone, that bridges $1 billion a year. So just that one contract alone is producing $250 million a quarter. And that's not counting all the rest of the amazing contracts that they have in the U.S. defense sector and also all of their commercial sides as well. So Wedbush Securities said back on Friday that the Army agreement was represented to be one of the largest Department of Defense software contracts in U.S. history. And of course, lo and behold, Palantir was who was able to cinch that victory. So for 2025, Palantir is expecting revenue between 4.14 billion and 4.15 billion, compared with 3.89 to 3.9, which is what they previously expected back in Q2, or I'm sorry, back whenever the Q1 earnings came out, where they beat the earnings reports, but they just barely broke over even on the earnings reports. So, but with the way it's still trending, they can tell that it's going to continue to keep going up. So they're forecasting that the third quarter revenue of 1.083 billion to 1.087 billion is going to be compared with the street's 981.8 million estimate. So even Wall Street is saying that their estimate is going to be greatly increased into the Q3 versus Q2. So the outlook is the highest sequential quarterly revenue growth in Palantir's history, reflecting a full 50% annual jump. So and that is coming directly from Alex Karp, which is a chief executive. So they are definitely showing, improving, and pushing nonstop on just how relevant this stock can stay in this kind of a market, how non-volatile it is actually becoming day after day, contract after contract, that this is a, yes, hyped stock, but it is not so overhyped to where the volatility could just come crashing down. So I hope all of you have been constantly being able to keep press and play and being able to put forth a little bit more into Palantir to be able to continue getting some extra shares. You know, everybody always says, sell high, buy low. But with Palantir, there really is no low. There has yet to really be a low except for at the very beginning of the year whenever we had Liberation Day with all the tariffs and everything else that shook the whole world from Donald Trump. So, but that shook the entire market. That was not just Palantir. So at this point, the best thing to do is just continue growing your shares to get a better dollar cost average as you can continue with this stock, because it seems to be no end in sight for this stock and for this company. They've had a couple of people stop and say, hey, Palantir has too much power. We need to back it down inside the U.S. government. But that got pushed back because, well, nobody still can do what Palantir does. And if they can, because there are other AI companies out there, they definitely cannot do as well of a job and as thorough of a job as Palantir Technologies. So, because you want to have the best for your country, your soldiers, and your communities. So, I hope y'all like the video. I hope that gives y'all a great update on what the Q2 earnings were, and also get a little bit of insight into what we're expecting for Q3. In Q3, Palantir is looking at a possible slight slide in some of their net earnings because they are doing a hiring frenzy, because a lot of the contracts that they have been able to complete and a lot of the new work that they are getting, they're having to hire a whole mass of people to be able to deliver on all of these software upgrades and all these new dealings with all these different companies along with the U.S. defense. So, if you like the video, subscribe, like, drop a comment below if there's something in the video that you liked, something that you might want to add if I might have missed something. I'd be welcome to that too. So, this is the Stock Warden riding off. So y'all come back now, you hear?